What's going on, Star Wars fans? We are here.
Hello there.
That's what I was looking for. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. I see we got a few people in here already. I appreciate you guys. Jedi Jarvo and, of course, Max Rebo are in here tearing it up. So appreciate you guys jumping on a little bit early. Mike and Nick will be here in a little while. Derek was here and literally just lost his power, so we'll see what's going on. And special guest Jacob's here again. He's been on a few times, our comic guy. If you guys don't know, we're going to get into that. So Papa Boz, thanks for joining us. That guy B, what's going on, everybody? We got a few things we're going to get to. If you guys just jumped on, Mike and Nick are going to be here in a little bit. I have a little bit of an echo in my ears. I don't know if that's from if anybody else can hear that, but anyways, so Jacob's on here. We actually, if you guys don't know, which I'm sure most of you do, this actually came out today, the new Maul comic. So we're gonna get into that. There might be some spoilers, so I'll let you guys know before we do that if you guys are gonna watch or read it and check it out. It's pretty cool. There's not a lot of spoilers in it for the Maul show, but we'll talk a little bit about that when Mike and Nick get on here and maybe Derek. So what we were going to talk about a little bit is on the thumbnail today. We were Derek might have some power. There he is. Ta-da!
We found life.
All right. I have power.
All right. Well, if you bail again, we'll bring you back again. So, can you hear us?
There we go. Now we're cooking with Crisco.
Okay, you can hear us.
Yep. Yep. Oh, it's never ending.
Yeah, Hasbro did announce some Maul action figures today, which was pretty cool. I know Derek was going to try to look into some of the game stuff, and then we were telling them before you came on and then went off again, Derek, we're going to get into that Maul comic that released today. So we won't give too many spoilers away, and we'll let people know beforehand, so we don't do that. So yeah, Jedi Jarvo says Derek is back.
I was on, and then I was gone. It's like
literally, it was like 20 seconds before we got on. He's like,
my basement is so dark. There are no windows, and like everything is like I have these black curtains up throughout here, and that was fun.
You're black.
I was just like, I was telling the guys right before this, like I was without heat for 4 days, had to get a new furnace put in. Lord Almighty.
Yeah,
but we're here.
But here we are. Here we are. So, Jacob, actually, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. I know you picked up the comic. Did it came out today? Is that correct?
It dropped today, fresh out the printer.
Nice. Was so did we have to pre-order it? I know you had asked me about it, and did we do that, or was there stuff still left on the shelves at the comic store?
So thankfully, yeah, there was a bunch of extra cover arts, and actually, I was able to snag myself this variant cover. It's
nice.
Just Maul in the dark. He's got his illuminated by his red lightsaber. And what I really like about this variant cover is the art style. I can't tell if it's one of the artists from the Clone Wars show, but you can see like the paintbrush markings in his face and his horns. So it looks like it came straight out of the show, like a nice little screenshot from the show. There was that. There's the A cover, which I grabbed for you, where it's got like the main cast of characters that are going to be part of the story. And then there was another variant where I think the whole gist they were going for was like the women of Star Wars, because it had Leia, it had Padme, and can't remember who the other ladies on there were, but it was like a nice little, probably Rey.
Yeah, I was I think Mike had talked about that last week or the week before when we were talking more about the comics and had those variant covers on there. So those 3 covers or 4 covers, whatever it was, is still the exact same story inside this first issue, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. The cover art is just different. Just hey, you can have a wide range for your collection. All the same story inside, but you can have something pretty on display. Just looking at the face of it.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'll put something in one of these links about my shirt. Jedi Jarvo asked about the shirt. So, the thing that I liked about the variant covers is they did that the same, and Derek probably knows this as well, on the Star Wars Insider. So you'll get one mailed to you if you do, if you're on the mailing list or whatever, and that's how you order it. But they also have one at the comic stores and the bookstores. So they would have sometimes 3 different covers for that Star Wars Insider, which sadly is going away this year. And I've been a subscriber, I think maybe since the 80s, definitely the 90s. I have the old ones when it was the Star Wars Fan Club, which is pretty cool. I'll have to dig some of those out and check them out. Jacob's laughing at me.
No, I'm loving it because I can only imagine how yellow those pages are by this point. Discolored the pretty pictures are.
Comics. Yeah. So we'll get into that a little bit. Like I said, there's not a lot of spoilers in it. It sort of gives us a little bit about the 2 main characters that were that aren't Maul in reference to the series. And then the next one, Jacob and I were talking about, comes out April 8th, like 2 days after the second Maul starts. So that'll be pretty cool. But the Rogue, okay, I think Rogue One covers were issue 2. Yeah, those, and those are the cool things about the different spots with these comic books are really cool when they come, like you said, Jacob, with the cover art. There's lots of different cover arts and these different artists that do the cover art. So that's pretty cool with them. So, Derek, you got any new news on these games? I know I was trying to download. They got a new trailer out for the pod racing one, which is, I mean, looks badass.
It's looking better every time they show it because it's like they're going to have some good cutscenes, and that's what we want. But really, like, they're focusing so heavy on the racing, which makes me wonder, like, what kind of competitive edge there's going to be, and like, how is that going to look? Because to me, I think I said this before, it kind of reminds me of them doing a marketing push in order to get people to play it and post funny things online of them wrecking other people. And I mean, that's just good marketing. So I'm excited for it. I remember the old pod racing game. I loved that game. So I'm hoping that it doesn't turn into the Starfighter game, or the dang it. Now I'm brain farting. The game that came out a couple years or several years ago that they were like, yeah, it's not going to be done. It's not where we wanted it to be. So it's just going to be $25.
You talking about the dogfighting one?
Yeah. Was it Squadrons?
Yeah, I think it was Squadrons. If not Squadrons, I think it might have been Starfighter, because both of those sound familiar. I remember getting that game when it dropped too.
Yeah,
and it's not bad, but it's like,
no, it's great. Like, the mechanics were awesome. It's just they didn't remotely have it done.
Yeah.
So, I get it. It is what it is.
And then we don't have any more news on the other stuff, though, do we? The Fate.
They're not going to share anything for Fate of the Old Republic until it's close to releasing. I can almost promise you that.
Yeah, which who knows when that's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But this pod racing one will be out this year, correct?
Yeah.
They just don't have a date yet.
I believe it's 2026, or if it is, it's going to be late, though.
Yeah.
Now, they did make a bunch of like the old 90s Star Wars games playable on modern PCs and on like Steam Deck and stuff, which is kind of cool. So,
really?
Yeah, the old LucasArt. I'm looking right now of which ones are all playable. There's Willow. Oh my gosh. And these are with an emulator, so take this with a grain of salt. But Willow, Monopoly Star Wars, Star Wings X-Fighter versus TIE Fighter, DroidWorks, Rogue Squadron 3D, Rebellion, Episode 1, The Gungan Encounter. Oh my. Yoda's Challenge Activity Center, Pit Droids, Anakin Speedway, Episode 1 Racer, Episode 1 Phantom Menace, X-Wing Alliance, Early Learning Activity Center, Jabba's Game Galaxy, and Jar Jar's Journey. Some of these games are pretty rough, but some of them are pretty darn cool.
That's awesome.
They ain't
And
got
those
Star
are
Wars
like
chess
older
though.
ones.
Yeah, I don't think they have Star Wars chess. But the image has that. I think that was in Jabba's Game Palace. I think that's where that was at.
Okay.
I think they had like Chinese checkers in there.
That's pretty funny. And those are all PC?
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, you have to have an emulator. So if you're not like a super big nerd, you probably have a hard time figuring it out. But because you were able to buy them for a long time, and then you couldn't. But it looks like somebody's cracked that code. So there we go.
Yeah.
I might have to download those.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the thumbnail that I put up today, and how I know Mike's talked about this and we've talked about it before, but what you guys think about all three of these, new things that are going to be popping up, whether it's Mando, Ahsoka, we have Thrawn coming up, but all going to be Dave's movie. I think they're all sort of moving in that direction to bring this Mando-verse, and I think they're just setting it up with all three of these. I think Maul as well. I think we're going to get some things in Maul that are going to be set up for all of these things coming together, because there's a lot of concentration on the underworld, and I think that's sort of where we're moving. And I've said that before, and I have a short up for that, but we're moving into the underworld and the crime syndicates and the bounty hunters. And what's your guys' thoughts on that, Jacob?
I really think that the Mandalorian Grogu movie is especially going to be a huge event, because not only are you going to be getting all the old school Star Wars fans that have been sticking it through all the stuff that's been coming out in the most recent years, you got all the new age fans that came in because of the Mandalorian show, because they enjoyed that old Western vibe, or the bounty hunter storyline, and kind of getting away from all the magic of the universe, but still getting like little sprinkles of it here and there to remind you, hey, this is where we came from, this original trilogy. I think the Thrawn series is going to be really big, because we're going to get a lot more of the real deep Star Wars fans, the novel fans, back into like the cinematic universe. So all these projects coming out, we only have the potential of, if not essentially bringing justice to the fans that have been through it and been dying and waiting for their favorite character from the Legends series, or their favorite character from the spin-off shows and storylines and video games being a part of the more major universe. Then you're going to get plenty of new and old fans alike. It's going to be a great time all around.
Yeah, I think so. And I know Max has just said something about he's getting a little tired of the underworld, but I think, and I'm hoping that whole underworld thing that George Lucas had done beforehand, I mean, it looks just fantastic, and they had episode after episode, pretty much ready to go for that. And I think if they were to expand on that and bring that, I think that would be fantastic. You've seen that, haven't you, Derek?
Oh yeah, and I'm not tired of it a bit. Like, I want more. I want underworld. I want bad guys. Like, I'm a Sith, and I know that they're not necessarily Sith, but they align with the Sith for sure, and they work with them quite a bit. So, give us more underworld. There's so many different worlds to explore, so many different factions. So it's like, it's not just Jedi and Sith. It's just people that are out there for their own ambitions. And I think that there's so many storylines that they can run with. Give us more. So sorry, Max Rebo.
We want more.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Are you guys tired of the underworld like Max is, or do you want more of it? And do you think we're going in that way? I think that we're definitely moving in that direction with the whole Mando thing going on. And then we did have, Tales of the Underworld. We had the Tales of the Sith as well. So we still have these bad guys wandering around. And like you said, even though it's not really Sith, I mean, it's sort of like, Maul is not a Sith, like Ahsoka's not a Jedi anymore. But we have the Mando-verse that's, pretty much getting ready to tie everything together. And a lot of it has to do with the underworld and these bounty hunters. And I think that's a cool thing that we can continue to explore, because we do have, Jedi and Sith and lightsabers and all this stuff, but there's this whole other galaxy out there, which I think is really cool, where we can just continue to build on that, because it's going to be a little bit before we see, the Old Republic movies, I think, coming out, or live action or anything like that, which I think is going to be fantastic. And once we get it, it'll be really cool. But I think we're going to have to wait on that. And until then, all of this Mando-verse stuff that's coming together, where we're pulling Thrawn in, from Rebels into Ahsoka, all of these are going to combine into one thing, where I think that this is probably going to be the trilogy that Dave's going to, head up after this. I don't think that there was rumors that, that John was on his way out or didn't want to do it anymore, but I don't think that's the case. I think that he's going to be around for a while. Now, I'm sure he'll do other things in between. I mean, he'd be smart to do that, but I think that, for the two of them combining on these, and, Dave maybe moving up into the director's chair for the next couple movies, I think will be a good idea.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
like I said, give me more bad guys. I want that. I feel like the storylines are more fun. And that's why I did like The Acolyte, because it really started showing the flaw in the Jedi, and seeing like, oh, they got some stuff that they're trying to hide too. And it made, for me, it made it fun. And we all know, like, it's such a polarizing show, and what we made it 16 and a half minutes before we said it. But it's one of those shows that, like, if you hated it, please watch it again, because I didn't like the first 4 episodes, and then I loved the last 4. And then I watched it again. I was like, wait, I didn't like these because people told me not to like these. And then the last 4, I was like, these were good. And then I watched it a third time, and I was like, oh yeah, the only reason I didn't like this show is because I was made to not like this show.
16 minutes and 38 seconds to bring up The Acolyte. We're here. Yeah, no, I was say, it really is a shame of how much it truly got shut down because so many people just really didn't take in the open-mindedness that really any Star Wars project requires of people, whether they're old school fans, new age fans, or they've never even seen a Star Wars in their life. Like, I can see some of the conflicts of like what would irritate people and what the issues were that people were talking about. It's like, yeah, I can see your point of view, but do you
sure.
really feel this angry, or are you just kind of stuck in that mob mentality? Like right out the gate, the whole conversation about how, oh, they don't even call it the Force, but it's obviously the Force, and it's like, we've had plenty of opportunities in different media showing us that the Force isn't just one specific thing or used for one specific ability. There's lightning, excuse me, there's lightning, there's force pushes, there's force jumps, there's force dashes. The main character that we followed for a good 6 movies technically was created by the Force. So is it really so far-fetched an idea that a different culture on the other side of the galaxy may have either been ahead of this one dude who figured it out, or maybe what the Acolyte was showing us was this is where this guy, I don't want to spoil anything even though the show's been out for a while, but
You can, it's okay.
where this, where
give all the
Plagueis,
spoilers.
yeah, where Plagueis, the man who basically taught Palpatine as much as he knew about the galaxy, how he could create life. Like, he had to learn it somehow. The man wasn't just in a lab somewhere fiddling with different chemicals and instruments. He was spying and viewing other strong points of the Force in the entire galaxy, if not the universe, so that he can, if not expand his life, make himself more powerful, since that is the pursuit of any Sith Lord, to wield the power, be the strongest in the galaxy possible, and then have an apprentice to pursue said power, if not one up that power.
Yeah.
It's baffling. And if y'all
Yeah,
don't mind me throwing in too, can y'all believe it's been 10 years since Rogue One came out?
That's so
I would
weird.
say I saw a thing on the
new movie. That's a new movie.
Yeah, right. And I saw on the website that I do for like looking ahead for upcoming comics, like if there's any variant cover arts I want to get my hands on, or just upcoming series I might be piqued by. They're doing a one shot, so just one comic, kind of like what they did for Jar Jar for Cassian Andor. and it looks like it's a story that's taking place right before Rogue One, so somewhere in between the Andor series and before Rogue One starts.
Wow, but that'll be interesting because it goes right into pretty much literally he gets called at the end of season 2 is when he gets the okay to go meet shoot, I can't think of his name, with the guy that he ends up killing. He gets the okay to go meet him and get the information in reference to the Death Star. So that'll be interesting to see what they got, or if it's maybe just a little bit off. But yeah, the Acolyte did get a bad rap, which I think stinks. And hopefully, Leslie Hanlon came out and talked about a bunch of things in an interview where some of the things that were going on, and especially for like season 2 and stuff. And so I would love to at least see some more novels or comics in reference to some of that stuff, so that we can tie it off. But Nathan, thanks for joining us. I know Jessica and Lane are here, so thank you guys. Appreciate you guys joining us. Nick and Mike should hopefully be here shortly, and we'll keep these guys working now while it's just the three of us. Max had said something about with the Boba series, they already explored some of that underworld stuff, but they did that on Tatooine. I think we're going to get into a lot more different underworld stuff with some of the stuff that's coming out now. So I think that'll be pretty cool. Tevik, thank you, appreciate it, Max. But yeah, I think that we'll get a little bit more, and we won't be just on Tatooine, doing the underworld stuff. We're going to be off in this new planet. I think what's the name of that planet that's in the new comic for Maul? Jacob, you remember? Yeah, Genix. So and they talk about that in the comic here, which is pretty cool. But we'll be exploring all these new things, which I think will be pretty awesome in reference to the underworld. And I don't think it's going to be just focused on Maul specifically. I think we're going to get to see a lot more of the underworld, which I think will be cool, because we're going to continue to get some more of it. And I think they'll eventually start to bring in some Jedi. Obviously, we have Ahsoka still out there, in this Mando-verse, and Luke's out there as well, and so, some of the other Jedi. But most of it, I think, is going to be some of this crime syndicate and some of the bounty hunters with Mando and stuff. I'd love to see some of these other bounty hunters get brought into it, like Bosk or Dangar or something like that. Would be pretty freaking awesome.
More Embo.
Yeah,
we're definitely getting more Embo, so that'll be cool.
Now, Jake, did you get what cover did you get for Jar Jar?
I just got the one comic for Ron, to be honest. Like I read through it, and the day that Jar Jar Binks came out, they didn't have any like extras on the wall, so the one that I had already pre-ordered, I was like, this is going to his collection.
Oh, nice. I got all three. I was like, I have to.
Did you get the entire set of the Black History Month cover arts?
Yep.
I would say that's an awesome spread. It goes to show that, like, hey guys, there's a pretty what's the word I'm looking, integrated group of people that are important in the Star Wars phenomena.
Yeah, and I had a couple buddies over, and one of them is first generation American, and his mom and dad were born in Liberia. And he's like, I didn't realize Star Wars had this many black characters in it. And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, can I see that? I was like, you can have it. Like, I'll go buy another copy. Like, please.
There you go. That's
awesome. New Star Wars fan. I mean, he already likes Star Wars, but
it's getting that representation. That's what's important.
Cool.
Everyone feeling included in this universe.
Yeah, Nathan said something in reference to, he think that they took some inspiration from the George's Underworld scripts, which I think they probably did at some point, but I'm hoping that maybe we'll get some more of those out here, because the stories and just the trailers that we saw from that just looked phenomenal, and some of the new characters and stuff I thought were pretty cool that in reference to that. So I'm sure at some point there was some stuff that was inspired by that, from Filoni, because I mean, who knows how many hours he sat down with George and talked about these things. So I think
yeah.
that's pretty cool that they were able to possibly bring some stories into this as well. So
Max Rebo's talking about
um
the Kenobi thing, but did you guys see the rumor today about Kenobi?
No, what's going on?
There's a rumor that Kenobi's
Which
going to
one?
show up in Ahsoka season 2.
Yes. And I know Mike talked about that, and maybe he'll be able to talk a little bit more when he gets on here, but they they dropped like some spoilers, and somebody was interviewed and talking about how they got handed Kenobi's lightsaber, and they're not sure, nothing's confirmed, but it's a pretty good leak, which will be coming out. I think which will be pretty cool to have him in there.
Yeah, because supposedly
say, Derek?
there's some like leaked merchandise that has something with the logos and the production design for Kenobi, and something that like it slipped out that Ewan was at like one of the filmings. So I don't know. It'd be pretty cool. I mean, obviously, I don't think anybody would complain.
Or Ewan McGregor? Why would they?
No, and especially, yeah. Well, especially if we're going to get Hayden, so it'll be interesting to see what the two of them, are going to be, doing in this. If we're going to, I don't think it would have to be a flashback. What do you think, Derek?
I mean, I'm thinking timeline now. Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be, wouldn't it? I think that's
Yeah,
absolutely.
I believe Rebels ends where New Hope ends, right? Or a little later than New Hope.
Yeah.
So nobody's definitely, so it definitely have to be flashbacks, just like we see in Kenobi. The flashbacks of him and Anakin younger. So I think it would have to be something like that, where he is probably younger, and maybe him and Anakin, or maybe we'll get more Clone Wars scenes, which would be pretty cool.
I mean, maybe you get him, Anakin, and a young Ahsoka.
Oh, do it.
That would be okay. That would be really cool.
Yeah, like Max Tech 2, possibly a Force Ghost as well.
I mean, all of the above. I'll take it.
Yeah, well, and you'll be happy. You'll be happy with this too. Nathan was saying that. Yeah, Mike was talking about that it could be an evil Kenobi.
Ooh.
But which would be sort of interesting, because we are involving possibly Abeloth in this. So if we're bringing Abeloth into this, I mean, and she can manipulate minds, she might be able to do that as well, and maybe bring him in as a Force Ghost or something, to fake Ahsoka out, or if Anakin comes as a Force Ghost, and that's the whole thing with the Abeloth thing. There's so many things that can happen if they bring Abeloth into this, that I think is very similar to Starkiller, where he has so much power they really can't bring him into this universe, I don't think. But with Abeloth, it'll be interesting to see what they do, and I really don't see what other direction they're going to go in with the spoiler, or the cliffhanger that they gave us at the end of Ahsoka. There's just pretty much one way that they're going to go into into that bad person, the bad guy for Ahsoka, because we might see Thrawn, but I don't think we're going to see or even hear about him until towards the end of the series, as another cliffhanger. So, and Nathan says, what if Abeloth makes Anakin have flashbacks on the Clone Wars? That would be amazing, just to see the three of them, fighting, which we all thought was amazing when we got Clone Wars flashbacks in season 1, with young Ahsoka, and we got to see Rex and Hayden in his Clone Wars outfit, which would be freaking awesome to see all three of them again. So,
I think anything's ever going to top live action Rex. That was too good.
Yeah. Well, and there was something with Tamara Morrison as well today. sort of teasing out in reference to Boba's return, and I guess the quote was, "I'm shelved. That's all, like a jar of peaches," he says. And when it does get opened, I'm going to come back sweeter, darling. That's from Tamara Morrison. So again, it's just now that's from Star Wars Holocron, but why is he saying that? So obviously he's done some stuff possibly, or he's gotten a call to do some things as well. So I think that's sort of cool to bring him back in, because he's such a big part of all of this. I mean, you have Rex, but all of these other clone troopers that we learned about and grew to have feelings for in the Clone Wars. You mean Cody and Fives and all these different guys that did the Bad Batch, all those guys. We've grown sort of. Some people have literally grown up with these clone troopers, and guys like Rex who are very essential to the survival of some of the Jedi, and just some of the stories that we've talked about in reference to Clone Wars, and now with Ahsoka. So these flashbacks could be fantastic.
Wouldn't it be cool if they had like not the young Ahsoka, but a little bit older, and Ashley came in and played her?
Yeah, that would be.
I know they're not going to do it, but
No.
Oh my gosh, it's like
I wonder how well they
Yeah.
could pull it off, like mid Clone Wars Ahsoka when she's got like the costume change, the second
Yeah.
saber.
she could
if they pull it
totally
off.
do it. Oh my! Take my money if that
That'd be a
happened.
missed opportunity if they
Oh
don't.
my
Oh,
But they won't. Like, I already know they're not doing that.
Yeah.
But man, now I kind of want to go to another one of her panels and suggest that. Be like, come on,
make
now.
them do
Tell
it,
'em.
Ashley. Come on.
Tell them.
Yeah, she that was the whole thing when Rosario got it, and I think she does a great job. But yeah, I think just because, just like we were talking about, and I'm sure that's what made you think about it. I mean, we listened to Ashley for 7 years and then some. Then she's in Rogue One, or
She is
in
Ahsoka.
Rebels, right?
And I know she was pushing for it because she's an actress, like not just a voice. She was an actress first, and at first I was kind of like, ugh, like why are we doing this? And then Rosario knocked it out of the park. I mean, she was incredible. And then now Ashley is saying like she's amazing, but it did hurt still because she wanted it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So like, how about a little bit of redemption? They're on this redemption train right now, and she's good friends with Filoni. And I know it's not going to happen, but up here, it's happening. Like, just make her. If you had her and Aiden and Ewan in a scene together,
yeah, that would be pretty cool.
That makes me think now, like, why didn't Hayden and most of the original cast voice their characters during the Clone Wars going on? Like, was it just contract issues or
money.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Oh, there's no way they could afford them to do all of that.
Like, no hate to Matt Lanter and
James,
James Arnold Taylor. Yeah, those guys, they knocked it out of the park doing their impressions of those guys, but then owning the characters in their own mentalities. But
and also being able to do several different voices, like James did, and especially D. Bradley Baker. How many freaking voices did he do just for the Clone Wars? Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just a lot easier to do it that way, and especially if they can, like you said, if they could just pretty much mimic their voices. Why would you need to bring in anybody like that? So I actually worked with other voice actors though. Yeah.
No, and I totally know that, but I think it would just be cool if you like kind of mix those, like you cross streams a little bit.
Yeah. Well, but I think again, then you're looking at, people are talking about if you're going to redo the character or if you're going to do the deep fake and things like that, you're going to get some people that would just freak out about that. But yeah, I think some of the OG characters or some of the OG fans for the Clone Wars would love to see her in that. Sometimes
you cross the streams, Max Rebo. Sometimes you cross them.
sometimes.
No.
I've got a weird feeling that if they do any flashbacks where it's the three of them together in live action, they're bound to do the scene where they're all together for the last time in the last season of Clone Wars before Anakin and Obi-Wan go off to save Chancellor Palpatine from Dooku and she goes off to go after Maul. I got a bad feeling that that's what's going to be seen on the screen.
You're saying you have a bad feeling about this?
I have a pretty bad feeling about this.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Well, and I think what's going to happen is we will see some of these, flashbacks in reference to the Clone Wars, but some of these AIs are freaking fantastic in reference to the Clone Wars. I mean, whatever the prompts are that they're putting in there, they're taking, that prompt, but then they're pretty much exactly taking the storyline from the Clone Wars and throwing it in there after they've generated their characters. And I think it's really cool what some of these people are doing in reference to these AIs, where you're taking the Clone Wars and you're able to see, the live action part of it, or at least what we would assume it looks like, which has been pretty cool.
Well, and how many billions of dollars did Disney just invest in AI? For that reason, they said they're like, we're going to deep fake, we're going to do this stuff, we're going to use it to make better movies. And I'm like, yeah, use it to give us the stuff we already want.
Yeah,
more.
Yeah, well,
more
and I'm
stuff.
sure they'll probably use it as well. In reference to some of the stuff that they're doing, they're gonna have to, because some of the stuff that's coming out now is just phenomenal.
Mhm.
And yesterday Mike was talking about that, which I thought was a really cool. I mean, he always has a great podcast, but the part towards the end, he was doing the deep fake and then the recasting, and there's just so much different things going on in reference to that. But and no matter what you do, you're going to get some hate on it. Somebody's going to either be pissed off that you recast that character, and maybe they were great, like Rosario Dawson. Some people were bitching about that, but you have, I feel like you have a recasting of someone like, Kenobi, but you have such a broad timeline from when we first met, Ben, Alec Guinness, to Ewan McGregor when he's much younger. And I think that is okay. And I think they did a fantastic job with that. For doing that. And I think that another one was the Mon Mothma character from Return of the Jedi to Andor and Rogue One. And I mean, they did a fantastic job finding an actress that looked just like the original Mon Mothma, I thought.
She could be like a sibling or a parent. Like, she's so good.
Yeah. I mean, and then they have, the controversy with, was it Aiden that played, Han Solo, Harrison Ford. So, that was a little bit different, but I think they did a great job with the deep fake for Luke, in Mandalorian. It was fantastic. And even with Tarkin and Leia, we didn't get to see him too much, but I thought that they did a decent job. It didn't look too fake, I don't think. So those are the things I think that when we're talking about Disney, buying Star Wars, I think, or Lucasfilm, I think those are the things that has helped Star Wars through the years now with the money that they have, so they can do a live action, or they can have some of these actors like Ryan Gosling come in and do some of these movies and shows and stuff like that. So I think, as much as people bitch about Disney and this and that, but I think that it was a good thing as well for Disney to take it over and have some of these things that might not have been,
a lot of it would have never happened.
Right.
I'd say 90% of the stuff we've gotten wouldn't have happened. So yeah. You can say, like, there's of course there's some misses, but I think there's way more hits that they got. And you can look at merchandise, like, Ron, look in your room of things that you would have never had. Maybe that would have been a good thing. Your wife might be okay with that. Like, oh man, if it wasn't for Disney, we wouldn't have all this stuff down here. But you got that, and we got the parks. So, like, I'm a parks and merch guy. Like, that's what I like. And the merchandise that you've gotten, like they were always okay at merch. Like I think about when the prequels came out, there was some pretty good merch, but nothing like what Disney has done.
Yeah.
With merchandise. Yeah. And expanded universe.
Yeah, I don't know if does anybody know, maybe in the chat, does anybody know, Max, when Black Series came out? I wonder if did the Black Series come out before?
I have Google.
Oh, there you go. I wonder if
What
year the Black Series came out, if it came out after when Disney bought Lucasfilm, because that would be interesting to see, because I think and there's so many other companies now that have gotten involved in reference to
2013.
Okay. So, and when did Lucas sell to Disney? It was after that, right? Was it 14?
Force Awakens came out 2015, 2016, right?
13. Max said 13.
13.
And 14 was Black Series?
2012 is when it sold.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was, that whole Black Series was part of
That's definitely Disney. 100% Disney. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, yeah, you're exactly right. The merchandise stuff got stepped up because, yeah, some of the things that I have, in this room from the newer Disney side of Lucasfilm, not the Disney company, but, some of these, whether it's Hasbro or Gentle Giant, some of these hot toys, things like that, I mean, have come out and they're phenomenal. The detail in some of these are just fantastic. Just like the Black Series and the Funko Pops, they came out,
Yeah. And Max Rebo said Kenner and Hasbro since 77, but man, the disaster that was Kenner on the first movie. I mean, they had to do like the box top thing, or like you mail it in because they didn't have them ready yet. It's like, oh yeah, buy them.
Oh, I remember that.
I love you, rain check.
Yeah.
But like, were all those things happening before Disney? Absolutely. But Disney's capital and influence, and just like, it's not like Disney did it all. They just gave Star Wars and Lucasfilm the power to do more and the money to do more. And I think that's what's so important that people overlook a lot. I mean, if people really want to complain, go to the parks and then tell me that like Disney doesn't have an amazing influence on Star Wars. Just go to the park.
Tell me it's not worth it, you guys. Tell me it's not worth
tell
it.
me. Tell me. Because I want to go with you if you don't like it.
I'll show you the real secrets at the Galaxy's Edge Outpost.
Good. Yeah, they did, but again, you're releasing the known big characters to come out, and then you can come out with, Rogue One and Force Awakens characters and figures like that, which I think is phenomenal. But yeah, they're always going to come out with the go-tos. Vader's going to be at the top of the list. C-3PO and R2-D2 are going to be at the top of the list for a lot of these, as some people like to tell me when I collect my dolls, but for the action figures, but some of them, the detail in them are just phenomenal. Whether it's the clothes that they have on, or the details in reference to the weapons, or just their whole costume and wardrobe are just fantastic. And I think it does have a lot to do with what Disney has done. And like you said, the backing that people look at Disney and go, oh, okay, Disney's been around for a while. Disney's got Marvel, they have Pixar, they have Star Wars. So we're going to put more money, or we're going to get into this game as well, because if we have a good toy here, we're going to be able to sell it, just because it says Star Wars, no matter what character it is, for the most part.
Right. Well, in games too. Yeah, but Max has a good point. He said Disney's takeover led to higher licensing fees, probably did more to hurt merch. Now, I'll disagree there. Now, I will say the licensing fees are astronomical, and I know this because I've started a brand with my buddy of clothing, and we're trying to get licensing. It's minimum 3 years in business with tax returns. So like, or you have to use like a brokerage service. It's tough, but look at things like the Jar Jar sucker. There was a lot of Star Wars stuff that was just licensed because it was like, okay, we'll take the money. That should not have been made. There was a
just
lot.
triggered me.
Yeah, and
That
there's
just
still
triggered.
a lot of stuff like that's hokey and whatever, but like go to Target into like the Funko Pop section and all the little things that they've got of Star Wars. They're pretty cool. There's something for everybody. If you look back at some of the old merch that they were just pumping out before Disney, it was like they signed everything away. It's kind of like Kiss. Kiss will do anything for $1. So did it hurt merch price wise? For sure. But did it maybe set the standards a little bit higher? I hope so. I think so.
Yeah. Chopper Base says, Rancho Obi-Wan. Yeah, I mean, that's phenomenal. It's not Steve Stevens, it's Steven I forget his
Steve
name.
Stevens is the guitar player for Billy Idol.
Billy Idol, yeah. But it's something Steven Sandsberg, something, I forget what it was, but anyways, Max will probably have it up here in a second. But yeah, I mean, he has a huge collection. I mean, literally makes my collection look minuscule compared to his. But he has a lot of some of the original stuff from the movies and different things like that, which I think is pretty cool as well. But yeah, if you haven't checked that out, you definitely have to go check out his website. And a lot of the times what he will do, it's Star Wars Celebration, at least every time that I've been there, he has like a whole little area set up for a lot of the stuff that he brings, to set up for that. But I mean, he has a huge place. I think it's in California where the rest of his museum is. And it is in the Guinness Book World of Records. I think it's the biggest Star Wars collection, in the world, which is pretty cool. So
doesn't he do like tours of his collection?
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like he'll bring it to Celebration or some of the con, Rebel Scum and the different conventions and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Well, he'll bring some of the things that he has. Obviously, he can't bring it all. So, but we have another.
A wild Nick appears.
Hello there.
Oh my gosh!
What's up?
How are you doing? Good.
What I miss?
Oh, you weren't listening before you got on?
Not for the last 25 minutes.
Okay.
Dude, we had Mark Hamill on the show, man.
What? We've sort of been all over the place. We're waiting for you and Mike to talk about the comic a little bit, but the main thing, on the thumbnail, as you saw, was just how everything's sort of coming together in reference to all of these new projects, sort of leading to up to this whole big Dave Filoni thing. Mm-hmm. And I know we've talked a little bit about it, but there's just so much more coming out leading up to the leaks and the rumors and even some of the facts that are coming out in reference to this. And so that was one of the main things I was wanting to talk about tonight. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, like we said last week, it's arguably the biggest content year for Star Wars that we've maybe ever seen, considering all the other things or all the mediums that comes out, whether it's movies, shows, animation, comics, novels, all of it. So that's what we're in it for. We're always in it for more Star Wars, So I don't even know where to start on what could happen next, because like Starfighter wasn't on any of our radar until like last year. It's going to be the biggest thing of next year, so it's hard to determine. I know the stuff I would like and what I think could happen, but I feel like, even like we said before, back when Andor came out, no one was asking for it, and we got it.
I thought it was going to be dumb. I was like,
yeah.
And I love Rogue One. It's my favorite Star Wars movie, but I was like, well, what? This is dumb. Like, he wasn't even the best character in the movie.
Yeah.
And then it's like, this is the greatest show ever made. Yeah. I love it.
Well, with everything, with Maul and with Mandalorian and Grogu and Ahsoka, do you think there's something behind that in reference to Dave, sort of trying to get all of these things together? Because I think we're going to have some tie-ins to all three of these things, whether it's flashbacks or different characters or things like that are going to go towards where Dave's going to step into that director's chair, like like he and everybody else has talked about for years. And I think that's what they're sort of building up towards with all of these different things with Ahsoka and Mandalorian for sure. Then I think we'll see a little bit of that underworld type of thing in reference to Maul that's going to lead into some of the stuff for Mandalorian and Grogu as well, because they're technically he's I don't know if he still is, but I mean the main part of it was he's a bounty hunter, so I think we're going to get a lot of that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the first, maybe anyone correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like this is the first time where like shows and movies could totally interconnect and kind of do. Like Maul is now pretty related to Ahsoka thanks to Clone Wars Season 7. The underworld stuff is pretty related to what the Mandalorian and Grogu seems to be getting into with the Hutts. And, the stuff in Ahsoka with Thrawn would definitely impact like the world that Mando and Grogu are in this movie, So like, and it's all happening in the same year. I kind of am growing on an idea we had last week where Mando and Grogu might be its own thing, kind of like a big, celebration of that series that helps us lead into like what Ahsoka is setting up, which I also think will be its own thing. And then if whatever the Filoni project is, or whatever this like supposed trilogy coming up is, I think would lean more into the Heir to the Empire stuff that we've been waiting for. I think the Mando-verse, as we call it, is like the tee up for ultimately getting like our now canon version of Heir to the Empire with Thrawn and all this stuff. Because I can't imagine they'd dispose of Thrawn in Ahsoka season 2.
No.
And I also don't necessarily think he'll be in this movie. I think he'll be mentioned. So that there's like an entire huge, massive situation that is probably not going to happen in these two things that will need either a series or films to back it up. And I think, we've built this Mando-verse for like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I'm too old for
that. I work with kids. And it's already dead. It's already dead. It's gone. It's over.
It's dead.
And I still hammer at home to make sure it never comes back.
Yeah.
You said it, not me.
So a particular amount of years we've been building up the Mando-verse. And I think like it's all to tee up this ultimate, gap filler of a lot of years between Return of the Jedi and where we find ourselves in The Force Awakens. And what better way to do that than an Heir to the Empire adjacent or reminiscent thing? I think that'd be great as some movies. I don't know what they're going to do. I assume that's what Dave Filoni is going to be doing. But I would also think it'd be cool if like Dave Filoni does a project like a Starfighter. It doesn't have to do with any of it. That is like a new thing. And he kind of has like creative freedom in that regard. But
yeah,
what do you guys think? Or have you already been talking about it?
Well, we a little bit, yeah. But we did break the news, and by news I mean in my own head, that Ashley will play a middle Ahsoka between the young one and Rosario, and we'll have Aiden and Ewan on screen with her.
Okay,
that's happening up here, so that's going to happen in Ahsoka season 2.
It calls it headcanon.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that.
Yeah. Now, one thing I did want to bring up too is, they're talking about releasing with New Hope in IMAX and remastering it again. I'm wondering, how's that going to look on IMAX? Like, are they going to be able to remaster it enough on that giant screen and that kind of definition where it's going to look good? Or is it going to look bad? I'm a little nervous that they're going to, because they're going to use AI and they're using all of these things to smooth out the grit and stuff. That's kind of what makes it great. and I'm worried that they're gonna do too much. Like, to me, it's like, just throw it on the giant screen and make it loud. But they're talking a lot about the remaster, and I'm nervous. I'm a little nervous.
I think it'll be interesting, obviously. But I thought they were also talking about doing the original 1977 version as well.
Yeah.
Going in there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do that. I mean, it's sort of like these or the director's cuts, when we see from DC or Marvel or whatever it is. I think those would be pretty cool, because again, it's just a story for us, and they're just adding things in there. As much as I loved the original, I thought it was cool to see Han, in the hangar with Jabba when he walks on his tail, and Boba being there, because we didn't get to see that. I didn't get to see that in 1977. So some of those other little things, in on Mos Eisley, when you see some of the what are they, the dewbacks, wandering around, and some other little things going on that were thrown in there. For me, I thought those were cool, because it just sort of adds to the visual. For me, instead of like the, just the regular 1977 version of it, it just adds a little bit more, like all the rest of this stuff that's coming out with, the comics and the books and the live action and the animation, just adds on to the original trilogy. So it might take away a little bit from it, but I think it'll also add some fun little things in there that we get to see that we hadn't seen, or we thought in our head canon, sort of like what it looks like. And that's what I like about what.
Yeah, I don't know so much that they'll be doing, like, adding all that. I'm just talking more about like the smoothing process of the video itself, of like, is it gonna look weird? I don't care like if they add stuff or not. I don't think they're gonna do much of that. I'm just worried that they're gonna make it look too smooth, and it's not gonna feel right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that's just me being like, I'm an analog guy. Like, I love analog recording equipment for my studio. I've got this giant mixer here and all this analog gear. I love records. I love old movies that have grit and grain on them.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that A New Hope especially looks better when it's grainier.
Yeah.
And one thing I would love is if they could smooth out the special edition stuff that you're talking about, Ron, because there are some places where it's a tough, kind of takes you out of the movie a little bit. But I think they could totally pull that off. I don't know the ins and outs of like smoothing over like the Death Star run, the trench run, where like instead of watching the big, loud, amazing thing, you can like obviously tell that they're model spaceships. You know what I mean? Like, would that happen? Is that how could the process make you see lighting that you didn't before, or like, yeah,
or
like,
or they add it, or I don't know.
Do they change the color, like the color tone, like to accomplish that?
There's definitely a lot of that, especially with the bigger screen, and you're gonna see things that you didn't see before, and they're gonna try to mask it, or they're gonna enhance. Like, that's the thing, is like, is it gonna make it so different that it's a little bit weird for us that have seen? I mean, Ron, how many times do you think you've seen New Hope? Like,
see, it's been out for 50 years.
Oh no! I mean, I would estimate I've seen New Hope well over 100 times.
Yeah,
like in its entirety. And then like bits and pieces while it's been playing, while I fall asleep or running around the house cleaning, another couple hundred. So like when that's burnt into you and you see it look very different, and maybe they won't do any of that. Maybe they'll just throw it up on the IMAX and just make it so it works on that format. But I'd love to hear people's opinions, especially anybody that is a little bit older in the chat. Well, say old people, but just to kind of see what y'all think. Like, and maybe it'll be great. I don't know.
I feel like the smoothing like that would actually work well on like Return of the Jedi, for example. Like any issues that they might have had with the green screen forest thing, you could probably smooth out with like, I don't know, manipulating speeds of the frames, whatever, or all the like at the time CGI or special edition CGI from the space battle at the end of Return of the Jedi, they could probably make pop out a little more. But man, A New Hope is like the more original to me, the better. It just gives it that like lived in thing. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
It feels more realistic
Yeah.
with that like grainy nature you're talking about, because it's like it may have still been a cinematic level camera, but it's still that era of camera. You
Mhm.
go towards more modern day cameras, you can kind of tell the difference between what is real life versus what is something that they had to shoot on a set. As
Mhm.
clean as the CGI may be or green screen work may be, you're always going to be able to see that little hints of life versus artificial.
Mhm.
Well, and that was it. I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have the volume. We didn't have these other things. So I mean, a lot of these things that, were shot on those sets that they made, whether it was in the studio or, in the middle of, Indonesia or wherever they, filmed, on Tatooine. So just different things like that. They were literally in the middle of a sandstorm. They were in the middle of a snowstorm, and wherever they filmed, Hoth. So those things there I thought were really cool. And even the shots of the AT-ATs walking where they're doing the still motion. I mean, those are still shots from the camera to that actual piece of, plastic that was there, which is cool, where they're not, adding in these little things on CGI. So yeah, it's that lived in look, or that, that realistic, style for all three of those. Because then even and again, for me, and I know Derek always says that, I always have awesome things to say, and I love Star Wars, which I do, but you can see a lot of things in 1, 2, and 3 when they were just starting to do the CGI or the green screen and some things like that, and you're like, okay, it's a little corny looking, but
Yeah.
for me, I love it, and I love the prequels because of the story. And that's what
Right.
Star Wars is to me, and that's, for the story and some of the things, with, again, like we talked about, what was it? I think Jacob said 16 minutes in, we talked about, Derek dropped the Acolyte, but stuff like that.
That's usually not the bomb that I drop. It's usually anyone. There we go. There we go. An hour and 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Wow. I thought for sure he came up before I got on here.
I wanted to, but I didn't do it. I held back.
Really?
I held back. Now, Ron, you brought up a really good point, and so did Nick, about like the technology. The vast difference between New Hope and Empire is still pretty big, and then New Hope to Jedi is massive, because ILM was starting to work through all the new digital film and digital editing, and that's when Pixar came out, and they were the forefront of that. And if you guys know, and which I'm sure you guys do, but like the average fan doesn't know, Lucasfilm invented the digital camera. Like, it's a Sony camera. They created it for the prequels. And actually, it wasn't for Phantom Menace. It was for the other two. They didn't have it done.
Phantom Menace is the only prequel film shot on film.
Yeah, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And then they have like
you can go back and watch. You can, if you know that it looks so much different, but like I didn't.
Yeah.
When I learned that,
that's all you have to watch, and like you'll be like, oh, that's definitely different.
Yeah.
And then they've got Skywalker sound, which is used in more projects than Star Wars alone. I've noticed if you actually pay attention to the credits long enough, a bunch of movies use Skywalker sound for like the real, like either this is the sound that they're wanting to use to really drive the emotion of the scene, or the kind of sounds that they want to like really catch the audience's attention when something big is happening.
Yeah.
And Derek, to your point about like a good example of what you're talking about with being nervous and seeing it on IMAX is very similar to when the prequels first came out on Blu-ray. I don't know what they look like now, but when the prequels first came out on Blu-ray, it didn't look like it lined up.
It didn't line up.
Yeah, it was a weird.
It wasn't
lag.
ready yet.
Yeah, it was blurry, and like when a live action person moved, it like blurred the CGI behind. Like it was. I don't know if they ended up figuring that out. But I remember getting Star Wars prequels on Blu-ray when Blu-ray happened, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm never taking this out of the case again. I'm only watching." And
It's a great paperweight.
yeah, well, good thing is it came with DVDs, so it's like, okay, I just bought a really expensive second DVD of this. Great,
Yeah. Well, Brett,
Nice.
Brett's 100% right. The Sony Red cameras, like,
Yeah.
they're industry standard now. And then, like, now didn't Red get bought by somebody recently? I don't know. But I mean, if it wasn't for Star Wars, we wouldn't have movies the way we have them. We've talked about that a million times.
Mhm.
And that's where, I do give Kathleen Kennedy her credit, because she was an absolute juggernaut at ILM.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, she definitely was able to help, bring
And-
some of these things to fruition.
And so is Llewyn Brennan. As
Yeah.
long as, yeah.
Do they still have the puppet of Yoda in Phantom Menace, or do they completely replace him with the CG Yoda?
They replaced him.
Yeah,
He
okay, 'cause I
originally
know-
was a puppet, and
yeah,
now
and then
Yoda.
Attack of the Clones was a CG
Yeah.
model. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that's a shame.
Yeah, they were
Yeah,
talking
that-
a little bit about that yesterday. Mike was he had brought some pictures up in reference to, again, the Acolyte and the Yoda that we see from the back. It's actually and someone said that they thought that it's not. I looked it up afterwards, but it's not the original Yoda from either Empire or Return of the Jedi. But the biggest part is they took it from is it Skywalker or Jedi where Luke runs into Yoda again, and Yoda just and
Last
Jedi,
Jedi.
and that's where that Force ghost of Yoda, that's where they took that actual the back picture from, which I thought was sort of cool. But it was also sort of formed, and the one from the Force ghost was also formed from Jedi, from the original Return of the Jedi, which I thought was pretty cool.
Well, one other piece of technology, since we've been talking about Mando and Grogu, and I'm wearing my Mando hoodie today, is the wall that they use. What is it? Not the void.
The volume.
The volume. Thank you. I keep saying the void because that was that thing at Disney Springs, that attraction you could go and do the VR. The volume. And with the volume, that was something that ILM and Lucasfilm came up with, and now that is industry standard. Like, you are not going to have, like, green screens and blue screens are almost dead for the way they used to be. They don't shoot movies that way anymore. And now actors can actually see what's going on around them, so it's easier for them to get in character. And they've upped the game so many times. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, and they just continue to improve, obviously, as we go along. And I think that's what the neat part is, that now you got away from that, the blue or green screen or whatever, because that volume, I mean, it's just so cool. And you don't see like that, like we were talking about, like a little bit of the blurry stuff or people walking in the background where you can definitely tell that it's two different things. Where with the volume, I mean, it looks like, they're walking into Tatooine, they're walking into a bar, or the background from it when they're walking by in the sand or wherever they're at just looks phenomenal in the background. Even like, with Coruscant and stuff like that, which just is so cool. I think that they were able to bring all of that, technology into this, and they're like at the forefront of it because they're the inventors of it. And everybody else is stealing or borrowing from them to make all these other movies, which are great as well, but the standard is Star Wars.
Right. Well, and now with Disney investing so much into Unreal Engine and Fortnite and stuff like that, that's just to make everything else better. So now they've got stock. I mean, more than stock. How many billions do they invest in that? It's wild. So now they can make more games, more movies. Here, we got Google. Let's use our good friend.
You got multiple monitors over there, Derek.
I have so many monitors. That's the other thing. It's like you can see the colors on my face change if I'm searching, or so if it's really dark, I'm searching on Google.
Speaking of visuals in Star Wars, I'm bringing up the Acolyte again. 1 hour and 9 minutes in.
2 times.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true or not. I just had read something like last week about the Acolyte sets. Have you guys seen anything about that?
Mm-mm.
That a lot of the sets they built were like absolutely enormous, and
Oh yeah.
some of the bigger sets that they had ever made. And the person that like posted it was talking about like if anyone was wondering why it had a huge budget. So if anyone's wondering like where a lot of that budget went to, if it's true that these sets are as big for every scene as this article or leak said they were, then that contributes not only to budget but to also how it looks. Like if anyone thought it looked different, it's probably because almost all of it was like a meticulously built set. And apparently the episode 5 of the Acolyte, the big dark episode, apparently
Yep.
that set was like one of the biggest things they ever built. And I don't remember the square footage on it. Again, I can't confirm it. It's just some article that came out last week and I don't even have it on me. But that contributes a lot though. Like you can tell, I bet if I went and watched the Acolyte again, you could tell that they're in a real place. Like it
Yeah.
did look different. I thought it was more of like a stylistic change, which it also was. Like even with the choreography is more like, kung fu movie type choreography, which was cool. I think we all liked it. But it's interesting. I'll have to go back and watch and notice those sets.
Yeah, I just got done watching it again, probably about a week or 2 ago. But yeah, the sets on there are phenomenal, and that's the thing I think is well because they still do that, and I think they're doing that for Starfighter, and I'm sure they've done that for Ahsoka and Mando, where the volume is great, but they're still doing these real scenes as well because they look so cool, and I think you still get that feeling of that they're actually in that area. They're in the woods, like you said, Nick, in episode 5. What a huge and great scene that was. But for them to build something like that, but it makes it that much more realistic. Like they're literally in there, with a rock beside them or a tree or whatever's there instead of just the volume behind them. They can jump or stand on something like that. And I think you really can tell that it's part of it. It's not that that screen in the background where it's really cool. So I think if you go back and watch it again, you'll be like, okay, this set is freaking awesome, and then it looks like they're literally in the middle of a forest fighting.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the difference between that show and Mandalorian too. But Mando, they would have set pieces, but then you have the volume behind them. But a lot of that's outside. Like he's outside a lot in big areas. Like I think of like when he's hunting down Fennec, and they're going through the desert, and that they don't need a bunch of set pieces. But then you have like the Acolyte. There's a lot of like fight scenes in buildings and like in that temple that they're in with all the witches and stuff. Yeah.
So I've got the set information here for that episode for the where they find Kalnaka, basically that woods. How many square feet do you think that set was?
130.
130 square foot.
Yeah,
I
small.
was gonna say
130.
130, tiny.
No, I bet.
I'm just being a jerk.
I'm saying 100,000 at least 100,000.
No, I would say about 5,000 square foot.
I'd say realistically, maybe probably 5 to 10,000.
Closest was wait, what did you say, Ron?
What did I say? Five or I don't know, 5 or 10. Yeah, 5,000.
Jake was definitely the closest.
Really?
70,000 square feet.
Whoa!
Okay. Overshot, but closest.
With 160 real trees, thousands of plants, and reached up to 37-foot high ceilings.
So that was on a sound stage that big?
Yeah.
Real trees too, no less. That's a pain to move.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Dang.
Cool,
Okay, that's
So-
really impressive.
Yeah.
My dog thought I was hurt. She ran down. It's like, wow.
Aw.
okay. Like, I'm just fine.
Papa.
It's
I'm
what
more than fine.
according to this, it says the practical forest set for the Acolyte, specifically for the Kofar scenes in day and night, spans 70,000 square feet, filling the entire Shinfield Studios stage in the UK. This massive, detailed environment featured 160 real trees, thousands of plants, and reached up to 37 feet high ceilings.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And that's
I would
why-
love to have seen that.
That's why the price tag was what it was.
Yep. Yeah, it's 2 episodes worth. They had 6 more episodes to do it for.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, that's probably why it was canceled, because they knew they couldn't afford it. It had nothing to do with that not getting good reception or anything.
Never.
Nah.
They would never do that. They'd never get spooked.
I think.
So what do you guys
I
think on
saw
the
an
chat?
article. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what do you guys think on the chat? Is that pretty big, or do you think that's was anybody in the ballpark in reference to that besides Jacob? Yeah, I didn't think it would be anywhere near that big
Sam
at all.
tonight, I was way
I
off.
think is cool. Yeah. But that's the part of it where, you know, the amount of money that they spend on those things, and I know I said that just a minute ago, but the amount of money that they spend to have those trees brought in and the plants and everything else. And I wonder if it's because it's obviously it's more controlled and you can do what you want instead of, you know, going into the forest, you know, and trying to shoot those films, you know, in the middle of the forest, you know, like they did, you know, for a New Hope and, you know, and Hoth and stuff like that. So you were in the middle of a snowstorm or a sandstorm, where this you can definitely control it a lot better. You know,
Yeah,
with the
like
weather,
your lighting and your sound.
if you want. Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah,
to
for
be
sure.
fair, it does seem like one of the goals of the sequels that they made clear from the beginning, especially J.J. Abrams, for all the shit I've given him on this podcast. He made a point, and the rest of them made a point to shoot with film, use a lot of practical effects, and use the best digital effects that they possibly could. You know, like we said, tip of the spear is always what ILM and Lucasfilm are. And I mean, Ron, you've said it 100 times on here. The cinematography of those movies is, you know, kind of second to none in those years of everything that's coming out with it. And no shade to Marvel stuff, which is also ILM, but it's just a different thing, you know.
Mhm. Completely
Yeah.
different vibe.
Yeah.
Different
Well, they would have
environment.
made the story as good as the shooting.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Like, let's be real.
yeah.
It'd been the best movie ever made.
Well, and I think also the difference between those two franchises, I think even though you know there's no Sith or there's no Jedi, it's still more of a realistic movie, where with the Marvel and the DC universe, these are superheroes that probably will, you know, that are very fictional, obviously, because you have all of these different characters in reference to Hulk and Iron Man and Superman and all these different powers and stuff like that. So I think that's where they can get away with some of that, the CGI stuff in reference to Marvel and DC, where I think it's cooler that it's, like I said before, more realistic when you see it in Star Wars in the Acolyte or in Kenobi. You know, when we see, you know, Vader's, you know, I'm sure that was probably in somebody in the chat can check and see, but the face, you know, and the mask of you know, that's Hayden behind the mask. So I mean that's realistic stuff. You know, when you see the Thing, you know, or you know that's obviously, you know, some sort of CGI or even with Jar Jar when we use that, but so there's so much more that I think Star Wars does to make it more realistic, which I think brings that vibe in for a lot of us, in reference to we can sort of relate to those things in reference to, okay, I can't just get up and go fly or, you know, block bullets or whatever. So
Well,
I think that's sort of cool.
Ours has come with a disclaimer before every single piece of media, Star Wars media in history, which is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Right.
Disclaimer served. It's all good.
Exactly.
You can't
We
pry
can do
us
what we
now.
want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mike will not be joining us. He's running a little bit later than
What
he
a
thought.
slacker.
So, I know.
Sheesh, this guy.
Tough order.
So what I did want to do and touch on this just because it did come out today, and I know Nick was in our chat as well earlier, so he knows that we got this that dropped today.
Yeah.
Jacob was awesome.
Do not
enough
spoil it. I have not gone
Yep.
to pick it up yet.
Ron, put that cover back up.
Actually, I have a picture of it. Hang on, I'll put it up. I actually have a good one of it somewhere.
While he looks for that, have y'all got a look at the mall Funko Pops yet?
Oh, oops.
Oh,
Run.
oh,
There he is.
There we go. Look at
he's,
that.
I like how he's poking his head around. That's great.
Looks good. So it's Shadow of Maul.
Mhm.
There we go.
Yeah.
And there's new Funko Pop.
I have not
Yeah.
seen the new Funko Pop. I think I did, but I don't remember what it looks like. I think
I would
saw it on
say
there
it's going to look a
there.
little bit shoddy on the phone, but those are the
Oh,
4
that
new
hood.
ones.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hood.
So this one with the hood is going to be exclusive to the Funko website, but these are all available now. And then here's him with his sabers out. And then we got this guy who's
Icarus.
really, he's really catching my interest. Like, is that another Zabrak, like Darth Maul, and he's like a loyal follower? Or do we think this might be another bounty hunter that got hired on to go after Maul?
I haven't bought a Funko Pop in a long time, like consciously. And now I think I need some more.
They're pretty
Great.
nice, especially this Mandalorian looking character. Her name's Rook Cast.
Oh,
Yeah, Vanessa Marshall is the one that voices her,
Really?
Oh,
which is pretty cool. We have an interview with her on our website. I was trying to pull up the Funko Pops here as well. But,
Yesterday when we
Jacob
were
asked me.
putting the new
I
furniture-
ordered a whole bunch of them.
Oh, nice.
Of the new ones.
Nice. Yesterday,
let's
when
say
the guys were putting the furnace in my house, they saw all my Star Wars stuff, and I could hear them going, I was like, oh, God.
please tell me one of them did their best Wookiee impression.
He might have. At that point, I was laughing so hard. I was like, I'm just going to let him roll and do whatever. They
Just
did a lot
mind
of
your
Yoda.
business.
Yeah.
Hearing a lot of tools going working out of nowhere. Just
Yeah. That was cold. It was like 40 degrees in my house. I needed some heat. Like, do your
I
voices. I'll leave
needed
you alone. I don't want to talk about Star Wars right now.
do your
It's
silly
only-
noises. Bring me warmth.
You can
Max
have some
Rebo-
Funko Pops.
Max Rebo got the Icarus one.
Oh,
Look at that.
Okay, so they came out last week.
It's on the screen, so you know it's true.
yep. Has to be.
The word of Rebo.
Oh, did he change his profile picture too to the Lego?
Lego Max Rebo. Let's go.
Ooh,
Drink in hand.
I like it.
I didn't know Max Rebo had a drinking problem. Goodness.
It's only a problem if you think it's a problem.
So,
It's only a
Ron,
problem when he's out of it.
how's the comic?
It was good. Both Jacob and I both read it, and again, I'm not going to have any spoilers, but a lot of it is in reference to the two main characters that we already know about, which is pretty good. It doesn't give away a lot of the show. The only I won't say when or where, but we do get about that much of Maul in this, but there will be one. We talked about it beforehand, but there will be the next one comes out on, what did we say, the 8th, Jacob? I think April 8th.
Yeah,
so
8th
a couple
of
days
April.
after. A couple days after the Maul series drops. So it'll be interesting to see how much of this actually helps us, or if it gives us a little bit of a background in reference to this, because it's Brander Lawson and Two Boots, and it goes through a little bit of what's going on what's the name of the planet again, Jacob?
Genix.
Gen X. Thank you. I don't know why I keep forgetting that, but they're on Gen X already.
Gen X. It's not millennial.
Yeah, and
bad. Sorry.
The one cool thing, I guess it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's not. It's not. I don't know. There you go. I won't say. But we find out a little bit about Brander
Captain
Lawson. We find a little bit about Lawson, which I think is going to be a key part in his character. So maybe we'll talk about that next week, just so people have a chance to get it, because it just did come out today. But it's definitely worth getting. I think it'll be fun for what's coming up with the Maul series, and I think we should hopefully get a little bit more of insight, maybe some questions answered in reference to that. I thought it was weird that they're going to do it, and I guess we'll see in this second issue after Maul comes out, of what is going to be going on in these comic books. That's if it's how much it's going to tie into this series is going on, because we'll get at least 2, so we have 5, so we'll at least get 2 more issues during Maul. So and I'm sure there's something going on with that, and that's why we're getting them. But it'll be interesting to see what it is that we're getting in reference to that. What was your I guess generic thoughts, Jacob, on this? Because I know you read it as well.
Yeah, so from what I could tell after reading it as well, it's not really going to be a major dive into like Maul alone. It's going to be, the comic itself is really wanting to set up who this Captain Lawson guy is. Like, what's his personality like? What's his drive? His history? Kind of give us an idea of why we should be connected to this character and not just see him as, another head for Maul to chop off with a single swipe. So safe to say it's going to be introducing him, getting us more connected with him. So by the time the show starts, we can feel more conflict. Like, it won't be a one-sided, like, oh yeah, Maul's going to win the day. He's going to do this with ease. We're going to see what this, random cop on an unknown planet is going to be like, and why he's going to be a capable foe, if not possible, dirty cop ally for Maul. Because we get a little, like Braun said, we get a little insight on this guy. But I'm willing to bet, since this is a prelude to the show, we're going to get a lot more detail of who this guy is and why he does what he does.
Yeah, for sure. Welcome, 50 Thunder. Thanks for joining us. And then, Max, I'm not sure if the comic will set up the finale, because we're going to get a couple more, because it's a five run, I think, series, correct, Jacob? I think it's 5 of them.
Yeah, 5 or 6 is usually the amount these Star Wars storylines go for.
Yeah, so we got one now. We'll get one after Holly. The second one drops April 8th, 2 days after Maul premieres. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully they'll tie together. Maybe we'll get some answers in reference to some of the stuff in the first 2 episodes that we see, since they are doing the double episodes for the 5 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see what we're going to get in reference to that. But I think the finale of the comics is going to be afterwards. So the series will already be wrapped up by the time we get to the end of the comic. So something in that effect could also affect what we're going to see in Mandalorian and Grogu, possibly, or even in Ahsoka, I think, if we get a couple more after the Maul series is gone. And that'll also be cool, because we'll still get at least one in between the Maul series finale and Mandalorian and Grogu. So we'll still have a little bit more Star Wars that we can absorb.
I see Grand Admiral Holly. She was asking again. The second issue releases on April 8th.
Yep.
So about a month.
Yeah, and that's usually when they drop, right? And that's what you were saying when we were first starting to talking about that, was the monthly drops instead of like a weekly, or all 5 of them coming out together.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nick, what do you think in reference to this? If it's gonna, how do you think this will play into the Maul series? And do you think we'll get anything in a spoiler on the comics, or most of it's going to be in the series?
Well, the good news is I can't spoil it because I haven't read it, so
Right.
no danger here. But I don't know. I feel like what Jacob was saying is how this was really gonna go from now on. If you have like a tie-in comic, they have this dance that they kind of do where people like us read it and go like, "Oh, how could I not read this with the show?" But objectively, you probably don't need to, right? Like, I'm sure the show is gonna. What's the guy's name? Lawson.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Lawson.
I'm sure there's gonna be enough with him in the show to form our own conclusions about what he's about, but it's enhanced, tenfold by the comic. You know what I'm saying? I have a hard time believing it's gonna step over the show in terms of like huge things happening. I think it's a big, interesting setup in similar ways to like, do you guys remember when they were doing comic runs with the Vader stuff, especially as the sequels were winding down, where you kind of had to tee up Palpatine working on something? It's not like they came out with a comic that said, this is how Palpatine did Project Necromancer. It's like a comic of these other characters, and he pops in for the last page with like a really big nugget of information, and he's out. Or he does that all along the Vader comics, or Dr. Aphra has a lot of that kind of stuff in it, where it's like her story, and then the thing you're really like reading it for drops in at the right time and sets you up. I feel like they would release this Shadow of Maul with Shadow Lord for that reason. Like it'll probably make Lawson, our variety of fans a fan favorite going into the show. And maybe similar to like if you were watching the Mandalorian series with some casual fans and you see Bo-Katan and we're all like, holy shit, it's Bo-Katan, but they don't know who she is. And
Right.
They don't necessarily need the other stuff. We would feel it's necessary, but she makes enough of an impression on the screen. So I need to read them all stuff. I would prefer to read them all in a row. It's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And I think it'll add like really interesting detail to at least provide like the canon for why we are where we are, like all the other things. And we'll get most of the Maul stuff in the show.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Well, and I'm reading Reign of Empire, The Mask of Fear, and that's a perfect point where it's a Mon Mothma and a little bit of Bail Organa, story, which is really cool, but there's other things that get plopped in here and there, and then we get to get a little bit of information of see what's going on, from other bigger characters. Maybe Palpatine jumps in here and says something like you said. So I think those are the cool things that we get out of these comics or novels that aren't really about the Skywalkers, aren't about Obi-Wan.
Yeah. And think about how we even got this storyline in the first place. It's a 5-second clip of Darth Maul at the end of Solo. This is all born out of like wondering who's the boss they're all afraid of. Turns out to be Maul, at a time where like, I don't know, did we know, had he been killed in Rebels yet? Maybe like that year, like officially killed in Rebels, but we didn't know where he was in between Clone Wars and Rebels. And then
it would have been close to that.
And here he appears in Solo, and he's apparently a big mob boss. And now we have this whole rich extra story, Clone Wars season 7, to go along with it. And that was from someone dropping in, like you just said, Ron. And here we are. So I think these, not that Solo's in the same level as like, a novel or something, but you know what I mean? It's these ways that you're working on this other story and we get fed the pieces until it's time for that story to be told. I think it's a really good idea. They're doing a comic with Maul show. I mean, the more the merrier, always.
I agree.
But yeah.
Especially the comics. The comics are great. Like, there's not a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
any
and
of them
that's
that
my
I've had, they're not
Yeah.
bad.
No, and they give you little bits of information, and you guys will both see this when you read it. It's nothing huge. I mean, I could probably tell everybody, but I'm not gonna. But it's just fun little facts that we probably will find out during the Maul series. But to already know some of these facts about this new character is really cool. Because it just for us as super fans, it just brings that character to a little bit more life or realistic. Now that we know that he's in this story and sort of what his background is, and that's what the cool part is once we get to the Maul part of it is, we have so much of that story, and now we're going to get a little bit more of that story in some of these years that we're not sure what happened. So I think those are the cool things where you don't have to read the comics, but it does enhance the whole experience a little bit more. It's just like, you can watch all of the 11 movies and not have to watch Andor if you don't want to get Rogue One, but does Andor enhance Rogue One? Absolutely. And Rogue One enhances A New Hope, and same with the Clone Wars and Rebels and all these different things that they have coming out. And even with the Mandalorian, that enhances the whole. I feel it enhances the 4, 5, and 6 so much, because we're sort of still in that timeline. We're just 8, 9 years away from Return of the Jedi, so we still see and some of these things that are going on in the galaxy that were going on during 4, 5, and 6, which is pretty cool. And some of these things that we when the stormtrooper helmets are on those spears when he's walking through Tatooine, or Mos Eisley, I think it is, or it's just so cool to bring back to that. And I think that's what the cool part is when we get these comics and novels to fill in some of these different things, the different questions or answers that we have.
Mhm.
So
100%.
Nick, you got any fun questions for us this week?
I did. Hold on. You guys talk real quick. I have something to read.
Okay. While he's thinking that, are you ready? Let me know, because if not, I'm going to talk about what Max Rebo has to say here.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think it is generational, because like you were saying, he likes to just read them one at a time or individually as they come out, which I'll do as well, because instead of binging them. But I guess my question to you, Max, is if all 5 of them dropped today and you got all 5 of them, would you read all 5 of them, or would you just read the one and then wait and then and read the next one to see? I would, and I'm sure Jacob would too. I would read all 5 of them because I want to know the whole story.
Yeah.
It's just like if any of the live action or animation came out, and instead of dropping it, 2 or whatever, for me, this Maul series Andor dropping 2 episodes a week, I loved it because I wanted that information, so I think that's a fun thing. So
Dropped 3 of them, didn't they?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it was 3, 4
like a
weeks.
movie every
3,
week.
4 weeks. Yeah, it was freaking awesome.
Well, since you brought up one of my favorite terms, headcanon, earlier, this was something I actually meant to send you guys, but this is from a subreddit called Star Wars Cantina, which is basically just talking Star Wars. The original poster is named Ashton__L. So credit where it's due. I always mention things that are posted on here, and I never remember to give people credit. So thank you, Ashton__L. It said, what are some lesser known or discussed headcanons that you have? And I'm going to read a couple of examples because some of them are kind of cool. Some of them are kind of funny. And then I want to go around the room once you get the vibe of like how people were answering.
All right.
So the top comment was this person CT-1030, which is a clone trooper number. Boba is slower in the Book of Boba Fett because of the back to healing treatment. And so people go on to say, you know, one comment says, I always assumed the Sarlacc itself was the explanation of why Boba at 41 is the equivalent of 60 years old. Everyone's discussing what could have happened.
Sand.
And yeah, and the original poster said, that's a good explanation, but we see him being agile in the Mandalorian, which is also post Sarlacc. That's why I headcanon specifically that the back to tank treatment is making him slower for the time being.
Okay.
So this is an interesting one. That's kind of like the vibe they're going for, like a little one that's like maybe inconsequential a little bit. This one's a little bit bigger deal. We blame the Jedi for a lot, but Anakin had many problems that he needed to address himself. And that sparked.
Well, how was he going to do it?
A lot.
He was taken as a little kid.
Yeah.
It's not like they gave him the skills of therapy.
Yeah.
Hey,
get in there. I agree. Get in there. And
I need to get all right. I'm getting on that one, man.
Yep.
I'm all about Reddit, so I'm in that. No.
This one's funny. One of my favorites is a tiny thing, but I like to believe that Palpatine was genuinely questioning all of his life choices as the front half of the invisible hand was crashing down into Coruscant because he had counted on Obi-Wan and Anakin having a slightly better plan. I think they're alluding to a scene where he's strapped in next to R2 and he's looking at him like, I don't know if you guys remember that from Revenge of the Sith. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do one more. This person said R2's little jets were damaged during the crash landing in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. That's why we never see him fly again in the saga.
Yeah, that's been addressed, and I don't know if that's the actual reason. But yeah, that's it, and that's what I think is cool about the headcanon stuff. Because a lot of these things are your own opinion on it. And that's the same thing. And it's funny you brought these up because I saw one this week, and I know Mike actually did a short about it as well, but a couple other people did. But the whole Rex thing, like we were talking about earlier, it was so cool to see him, in Ahsoka, in live action and stuff. But that guy when they're on in Return of the Jedi, holy cow, and they come around, they're on Andor, and they come around the corner, and there's this guy with the beard. And he actually has a name. I forget what it actually is. I'm sure Max will probably put it up here in a minute. But there's he has a name, but then so many people looked at him and thought, this could be Rex. And so that in my head canon for that, I think it's Rex. I think that's cool that he stuck around and was able to continue to work with the different rebels and ended up with Han and Leia on Endor. And it's a cool thing because Rex was a badass. If you go back and watch Clone Wars, Rex is a badass. I mean, he's whatever you want to call him, a Navy SEAL or whatever the equivalent to what that is. But I mean, he's a badass in the Clone Wars, and he's able to survive, like he did with Gregor and those guys before, Kanan and the rebels came and picked him up. But I thought it was really cool that, you can have that, even though it was technically he had a name and there was a little bit of a backstory, which I think everybody does have in the Star Wars universe for the most part. And those are cool little things where for my headcanon, I'm going to consider that Rex now because it's just cool. Because we never had a Rex before, obviously in 4, 5, and 6 in the 70s and 80s. But when all this other stuff started coming out, and then we got Clone Wars, and that was able to pop in there because he got this older guy with the white beard, and so I thought that was pretty cool. So that's sort of like the headcanon that I was thinking of.
Now is certain point of view, that's all canon, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Ron's the whole reason that I read those. So I was like, I don't really care about that. And then I'm obsessed with them. But I think that even though those are canon, that really kind of dives into that idea. Like the Jawa stories in the first one of them like seeing 3PO and R2D2 and then like wanting a better life, and a Jawa talking about wanting to be a star pilot. Like, that is so cool. That's the stuff I would think about. So I would love to see them do more of those.
Mm-hmm.
More world building for the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what those are, for the most part, like you said,
And
Derek.
the audiobooks are incredible. They're so good.
Oh yeah.
If anybody in the chat has a little one they'd like to add, like Max Rebo did, we can make a little game out of it. Maybe the points don't matter. There's no score. But I'll read you another funny one.
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
That's how
Everybody
we do it.
Whose line is
The
it
reason
anyway? What a great
Here's
show.
one. The reason Boba was easily beaten in Return of the Jedi is because he was drunk from drinking spotchka on Jabba's sail barge.
Mm.
See,
Got dark
they can be
headcanon.
fun. Yeah, they can be
Oh, yeah.
fun. This one says Obi-Wan and Ahsoka have definitely discussed Anakin and Padme's relationship and mutually decided to not talk about it further.
Mm.
Okay, I can
And
see that.
some of the comments are like this one says, I think it's more likely they both suspected the other one knew but didn't want to say anything in case they didn't.
Yeah. I always like
Snoke
that.
is Leia and Luke's offspring.
Wasn't there a headcanon that Snoke was like Mace Windu
Yeah.
at
yeah.
one point?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure. He looks like he'd be damaged by some force lightning and thrown out of a building, but he still had both hands. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
And he was like
I was
8
like-
feet tall.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say my headcanon is all the way back in New Hope when Luke came back to find Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru just incinerated corpses. That was Boba Fett that hunted them down and incinerated them. Because he was there in the deleted scene with Jabba in that docking bay, and he was also specifically pointed out by Darth Vader when he had the lineup of bounty hunters. It's like no disintegrations. It's like, this time, don't fuck around.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Well, yeah.
That is a really good one.
My boy Boba.
Well, and there's so many different things, and that's what the cool thing is. I think for me, there was a ton of headcanon for Solo, and we knew a lot of it. But when the Solo movie came out, I thought it was really cool that for me, I got to see those things. I got to see him meet Chewie. We got to see how he got his surname. The different things that he did, how he did the run in 12 parsecs. So those things were really cool, where before we got to see those things, it was headcanon for me. How did he get to meet Chewbacca, and how did he get these things, and how did he get the Millennium Falcon? Yeah, we knew he won it because we figured that out, during Empire Strikes Back, that he won it from Lando, but you never saw it, until we got Solo. Which I thought those were cool, because you had headcanon like that. We're like, oh, okay, I can see him sitting down at the table, and but you don't think, oh, did he cheat? But then you see how Lando cheats in Solo. So those are really cool things too. And yeah, Derek, like you said, from a certain point of view, if you guys haven't read those books yet, it opens up a whole different character perspective on every single movie I guess they only do it for the first three, correct? 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Derek.
I wish they would do all of them. But
Isn't there a Clone Wars one?
There is, but it's I started reading it, and it's very simple, or it's very similar to the actual episodes. The run of the episode when from one, from Clone Wars. They're not as intricate, I guess, or as interesting, I don't think, as the ones for A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Yeah. So those, you just get different perspectives from some of the main characters, like Boba Fett. You have different things like that, and what he's thinking about. Go ahead.
And I think you definitely need to do the audiobook. Like, buy the books to have the books, but the audiobooks are so good with the sound effects and the voices.
Yeah.
Like they're actually like listening wise, and they're easy to listen to because they're not very long. Listening wise, it's some of my favorite audiobooks from Star Wars.
Yeah, they do the cantina, the two twin sisters that are in the cantina, they have a conversation. There's one chapter that's just about the two of them, and it gives you a little bit of their backstory and stuff. So when you go back and watch A New Hope and you see the two of them as they pan through, at the cantina, you're like, oh, okay, now you have a little bit more information about those two girls that are sitting at the twin sisters that are sitting there at the cantina. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Now, Holly said Obi-Wan and Satine had a child, and we talked about this on an episode where I was at that a panel with Ashley and James and Matt. And James, people were like, "What's the story that you never got to tell that you would want to write?" And he said Obi-Wan's love story with Satine, and it was like, was that happening? Like you guys talked about this, didn't you? Like you and Filoni talked about this, and he's like. And I was like, oh, we talked about that in an episode. That was in talks.
Yeah,
I believe it.
The Nika sisters. Thanks, Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, the audiobooks, Derek, like Derek said, are phenomenal because they do have the sound effects and the voice actors of the what are you?
A lot of times it's the authors too.
Yeah, the authors, and whatever it just adds to it. You can read it, and I don't think because the audiobooks are what do they call it, the unabridged version, so it's the exact same thing as you reading it. So it's not like the movie, and then if you watch Return of the Jedi and then go read the book Return of the Jedi, you get a lot more out of that. Out of that book, because you get a lot more of what those characters are thinking inside their head, and they're not speaking like when you see it in the movie. But the unabridged versions of these books are the exact same thing. So it's so much more fun, I think, to hear the TIE fighter pilot, his story. It talks about things like that. Some of the rebel pilots, some of the people that work on the Death Star. Just different things like that. I think there's a Tauntaun one, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah, there's like a Tauntaun one where you hear what the Tauntaun's thinking. So it's different things like that, which are really cool stories.
Mm-hmm. There's one of the Wampa too, I think, with that captures Luke and it gets his arm cut off. Yeah, and a really good one in the Empire, certain point of view, is Veers, the guy who leads the ground assault.
Oh, Admiral Veers, yeah,
that's a really good one too. General. But
yeah, they're all, and all three of them. You have, and I would guess that they're probably going to come out with the rest of them. Derek, probably 1, 2, and 3 for sure. I would think.
If you're into that kind of thing, there's a channel that I love. It's called Good Night Sleep, and it's KNIGHTS. And it's like stuff to fall asleep to, and like sleep stories. I love sleep stories. They have a thing called Night Shift Radio, and it's like on the Death Star, and it's like a hotline from people who work on the Death Star that call in, and they've got several episodes of this now, and I mean they're like 6 hours long. They're super, super long episodes, but they're really fun. So shout out to them. We have no affiliation, but if you're into that kind of thing and like headcanon, listen to those. They're really fun.
Yeah, because it's not something that takes away from the story or really adds to the story, but it adds a little bit for sure. But it doesn't it doesn't mess anything up with canon. It's just these fun little, different stories about some other character that really can't mess up the whole timeline of Star Wars. And that's what a lot of these characters are in a certain point of view. But it's just a really cool way to get a little bit more. I think it's very similar to what they did with the Clone Wars, to bring in all these new characters and give you that time frame in between, so that we have an idea of what's going on, and we have a little bit more idea of to see Anakin's fall, you know, and what he went through, but also all these other stories. And now we have this amazing character, Ahsoka, you know, so all these things were, you know, just sort of conjured up, and now we get to see more of them in reference to these books and the animation, and it just fills in the story so much more. And when you have some of these other characters and you go back, you know, and watch A New Hope, you know, for the 110th time, you get to see these characters, and it makes a little bit more sense. Just very similar to the whole thing, like I talked about before with Han and Jabba in the hangar in A New Hope. You don't see that in the original, but they added that in there, and those are cool things. Just be like, oh, okay, so he came and Jabba came to, you know, collect his money from Han before he took off, you know, and you got Boba there, and that's one of the things there is Boba Fett, you know, has a chapter of what he's thinking in reference to Han Solo in that, and that's one of my favorites, to hear what Boba's thinking in reference to that. So
yeah,
but it's cool. Yeah, no, I like that. And shit, we could go on headcanon for forever and ever.
That's a whole other show.
Right. Well, but also even the sequels, you know, as much as there's so much, you know, I think there's so much stuff in between there, you know, just this whole hunt for Ben Solo, you know, there's just so much stuff that we could learn in reference to that, you know, for some of this stuff in between, you know, to get some of these things. And I think it will, just like Shadow of the Sith, we've talked about that before, that book made me like the sequels a little bit, or the prequels a little bit better. The sequels a little bit better, because they weren't my favorite, but to answer some of the questions helps for sure. You know, again, with Ochi of Bassoon and the dagger and all those things, you get to learn a little bit about Darth Plagueis's son, you know, and his wife, you know, Rey's parents, which is really cool. So cool.
Good stuff.
We are almost at 2 hours here, so we're gonna wrap it up. So hopefully we'll get Mike on here next week, but don't forget to check him out tomorrow, 2:00, unless or check to see, make sure. I know he did a late one on Tuesday at 5:00. I was able to catch a bunch of that. So if you guys showed up late here, please go back, check out the rest of the podcast. We had a good one tonight as well. Appreciate you guys jumping on here. Jacob, thank you for jumping in and helping us out with the comics as usual, and just a little bit of Star Wars knowledge that's going on.
And we have a new sponsor for next episode, don't we? We have some new toys that we're going to have on the next episode.
Yes, and hopefully if Nick stops by, you will get one as well. So I have we got new microphones delivered from SE. Is that correct, Derek?
Yes, SE Electronics. So
yes,
all four of us will have these, and maybe we can get Jake one of them as well at some point.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, so we're all going to have matching professional microphones. Look at us.
Beautiful.
Look at us.
Just in case. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and click on some of those things. Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate everybody coming on. Holly and Max, as always, is here. Jarvo, I know he left, but he's always on here. Chopper Bates, thank you guys for joining in and comments, stuff like that. Brett, and 50 Thunder. So thank you guys for always coming on here and joining us in the conversation, joining us to talk about Star Wars for 2 hours. Obviously we're all big super fans. We have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Once this Maul series starts to drop, we're going to have breakdowns on that and everybody's opinion on what's going on. If you haven't checked it out yet, go pick up the new Shadow of Maul comic. The first one dropped today. Zima, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you coming on here for the last little part, and that's about it. So, guys, thanks again for being here, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday, Star Wars Jedi Chat podcast. And until then, may the Force be with you. And